That mo is coming in.
Happen faster.
Thanks. Give it a look.
How's the bike? I think everything's alright.
Oh, my lever's off. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, your left lever?
Both my levers.
Sorry. I give it a tap. Was Kerry riding last, or was he like in mid pat?
So me and Cloudy were behind him, and he came down, and Cloudy I don't know how he missed him because I just missed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cloudy was like, the angles he hit in the wet was like not physically possible.
Yeah. You got your hip a bit sore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not too bad.
Give us a look at your hands. Shaking? Oh, fingers a little bit. Bung up.
The man, I'll cruise back.
They work. They're just a bit scuffed.
Yeah.
Get some new rubber and you're good.
Oh, I've actually got a set of rubbers at home. So.
Ah, this guy.
As you do? When you're single?
Shut up, Troy.
We'll catch up soon. Yeah. See you, mate. See you later. I'll look for the rides on Strava's.
You just wait for the magic to happen. That's it. Are you guys doing the Festive 500?
Not intentionally. Yeah. But after this, I'll be about 330 in, so might as well.
I reckon everyone here is not intentionally doing it, but probably
Everyone will do it.
you'll get to 300, 400 on the fourth day. You're like, oh, I'll just finish it off.
How much more headwind have we got? I'd help you, but I'm...
Hey! It's Niall.
Give it a hold. Ah, yeah, sweet.
I've done a gravel ride.
You're looking a little bit dirty.
Now I'm this dirty. Look at my fucking shoes. What is this?
Islands to carry?
Yeah.
1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, put my helmet up for it.
Still alive.
What is happening over there?
He's gonna straight the
Yeah, something.
Looks like he's pretty close to it.
It's my new rig. That's my birthday. That's my birthday present from my mum and dad.
Don't you hate it when your
Mum
missus
and dad.
drives your car when you're not home?
Huh?
So don't you hate it when your missus drives your car when you're not at home? Told her before, haven't you? 789,000
Oh, boy.
Aussie.
No, it's just a base model.
Oh, that's only the base model.
Yeah, got the
That's
SVJ.
going like 100 SVJs in a while.
Right here. Catch this.
Hey guys, Chris here. This part of the video is a bit of a cycling guide to help you if you want to ride this route. So originally, this route came about a couple years ago when we were just looking for some variety to spice it up, you know. I mean, it's definitely a first world problem. We have some of the best riding here in the south. You got hills, not many traffic lights, views of the ocean, yet sometimes you get to waterfall and you think to yourself, if I have to ride to waterfall just once more, like, all I'm saying is variety is not a bad thing. So this ride is 118 kilometers with about 1500 meters of elevation. That's not too much elevation for this sort of distance, and the whole ride feels fairly undulating with there's not too many climbs. Every undulation max is probably about a minute at length, so for the most part it's not too bad. The undulations are from kilometer 0 to 75, and then basically the last 40 k's of the ride are fast and pretty much downhill all the way back from Bulli to Sutherland. In my mind, there are 4 different parts of this ride. Sutherland to Campbelltown, which you're zigzagging through streets, you're riding different roads that you generally don't ride. There's nice bridges that go over rivers, and also the bridges that go over the railway lines are pretty cool. You pass through some industrial areas, you can ride two abreast for the most part, so you can chat pretty much the whole way, and I'd say this part of the ride is pretty fun, doesn't drag at all. Next, once you hit Campbelltown, from Campbelltown to Appin, this part can drag. There's definitely some undulations that kind of drain you, and there always seems to be a bit of a headwind or a crosswind on this one stretch of road. There's not too much of a shoulder to ride on, so for some of the time you're riding two abreast, and then when the shoulder kind of disappears a bit, you've got to go single file. And what's funny is the drivers around this part of Sydney are not as fond of cyclists. So pretty much every time we've done this ride, there's always someone that yells out something to us, and this ride was no exception. Someone full got his head out of the car, could see his mullet just flailing in the wind, and just told us to get off the road. It's pretty standard. Box, he always amazes me with his quick reaction time to yell straight back at these people before they even drive off. Me, I kind of forget about it straight afterwards, but I always find that pretty funny. Once we get to Appin, there is a servo that we usually stop at. I forgot the name, but it usually has like a green kind of theme, and whoever owns this servo runs a tight ship. I would fully recommend stopping there. It is one of the cleanest servos I've ever walked around. All the drinks are facing the correct way, where they're looking straight at you. So when you walk over to the drinks fridge, all the Solo is like perfectly facing at you, the Coke, I think you get what I'm saying. And even the bathrooms are clean, so I fully recommend stopping there. The servo is definitely not the highlight of this ride, but it's definitely something notable. From then, it's Appin to Bulli, and this is pure highway Ks, 100 km/h zone. There's a shoulder for most of the way, but sometimes the shoulder gets real bumpy and corrugated, so you got to go single file with the shoulder that's rideable, and you got trucks coming past you at 100 k's an hour. This is the one part of the ride that is a bit dicey. If you have a tailwind, happy days. It doesn't take too long to do this part of the ride, but yeah, it can be. Everyone should have decent bunch skills when doing this part of the ride, I think. Then you hit Bulli, and honestly, when you take that left turn from the highway to Bulli, all of a sudden it gets quieter because you haven't got the cars coming past you at 100 k's an hour. You can actually hear yourself think. The roads are quieter, and honestly, it feels like you're already home. It's a fast 40 k's all the way back to Southo. There's some undulations, but it's pretty much all downhill. We were flying on the way home because we had a southerly, a tailwind to take us all the way back home, and it was absolute bliss. If you can make it to Bulli in this ride, you can make this ride, basically. Because the last part is just such an easy cruise home. I think the overall difficulty of this ride is not too high, because there's just not much elevation over the entire ride. You can kind of cruise it and get through it with relative ease. It took us 4 hours. I think we averaged about 30 k's an hour. I'd probably recommend, when you're allocating time for this, to probably estimate that you're going to be riding 28 to 30 k's an hour average. Probably take about 4.5 hours max. However, I do recommend that whoever you ride this with has some bunch riding skills, because there's certain parts of the road that are a little bit dicey, like the highway or the stretch from Campbelltown to Appin. Everyone should have pretty decent bunch hill skills to ride the shoulder well, or go from two abreast, single file, back to two abreast, pretty controlled and in a steady fashion. So yeah, just to stay safe. I think that 4 to 8 riders is kind of the sweet spot, just because 4 riders, I mean, there's enough people to talk to throughout the entire ride, because it is 4.5 hours, and up to 8 riders, because I think anything after 8 riders, unless everyone's super organized, it's going to be hard for people to go from single file to two abreast in a pretty quick fashion, to avoid getting yelled at by cars, or just to stay safe in general. The time of the year that you do this ride, I think, makes a difference. I would recommend doing it during a holiday period when there's less traffic on the road, or a public holiday, or just ride it early. But that's just something to keep in mind, because there's a fair bit of time spent in the shoulder, or when there's a very small shoulder. I would recommend you trying out this ride if you're really looking for something different. And if you like this sort of content, please comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite rides. Maybe I'll go and ride them. And consider subscribing if you haven't already. Catch you in the next one. Peace.